The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. This is Jennifer Lisanti, the Director of Sales at Beere&Purves. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar. And just a heads up that we are going to be having several webinars coming up. There's going to be another one on March 25th, specific to introducing a couple of our newer partners, Cigna Plus Oscar and Humana, as well as on April 15th, we're going to have another webinar on the big topic right now. Because of COVID, a lot of people are moving outside of the state of California, and that's affecting the participation of which carriers will write the group. So another hot topic that we'll be hitting, but today again, we'll be focusing on large group. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone is on mute, but we welcome questions. Just type them in during the presentation to the questions section, and we'll review them at the end. If we don't have time to get to all of them, we will certainly circle back to you. And as always with anything, you can always just reach directly out to your B&P sales team and we'll take care of you. We will be sending out a copy of the presentation, and there'll be a recording as well saved on our website. So having said that, we'll go ahead and get started today. All right, so you can see the agenda today. How can you leverage B&P in the large group market? An overview of our large group partners on the medical side is Anthem, HealthNet, and Kaiser. We'll review comparing some options towards the end, and a reminder of our large group BrokerPicks program, which is different than our small group BrokerPicks program that we offer, and time for Q&A, of course. So the first topic is Beere&Purves, and why would you submit your large groups through B&P? Well, just like those of you that submit your small group through B&P, you'll find that we don't do anything necessarily that you guys don't or can't do on your end. You just know that we're professional, we're knowledgeable, you can trust us to do a good job, take the work off your plate, and therefore free up time for you to work on other items and help your return of your investments, your profitability, etc. So starting at the very beginning, when you send over the RFP to our large group team, we're going to clean it up, take that work off your end, making sure we set it up, or tee it up rather, for the carriers. And what we do with that is we actually take the census you give us, we code it the various ways the different carriers want it so that they can take it and run. We put it into their quote formats, their coding, etc., so that when the carriers get the large group quote request, they can just take it and run and provide a much faster turnaround time, because there's not a lot of back and forth, and it just allows you to get much better, faster quote than if you send it in direct. The next item is faster implementation. So when the group actually sells, after we've helped you negotiate directly with the carrier or just through us, take that off the time, the group sells, we have a great reputation, just like in small group, for faster implementation than if you went direct to the carrier. So when you send over the eligibility to us, we're actually loading it into some of the carrier systems directly, or again, teeing it up so that the carrier can get it and take it and run. And I apologize, I want to go back to the quoting. In addition to teeing it up to the quoting, when we'll do all the follow-up with the carriers, finding out how long it's going to take and making sure that doesn't get slips through the cracks. When we get it back, we're going to review it, make sure that it is correct. If you want it alongside Kaiser, for example, if you wanted standalone, if you wanted extra commission, etc., the correct effective date will be that extra set of eyes, making sure that the quote you get, or that you wanted, is the one you get, and then we'll send it back over to you as soon as we get the correct one back. Skipping back to enrollment support, we can provide materials for those groups that still want hard copy materials. We can do virtual meetings. I know one rep just did 3 meetings a day for 3 days straight for a large group sale. And I know the carrier appreciated our support on that too. And it included various interpreters in different languages as well. So we were able to support all of that. That helps the broker and helps the carrier. And just like in the small group, our contracts with our large group carriers is a true GA override. And what that means is there's no additional premium increase to your clients because we're involved. The rates are the rates no matter what. And there's no effect on your commission. It's a true GA override. So whether you go direct to the carriers or through B&P for large group, the premiums are the same, the commissions are the same, the bonuses are the same, etc. And then as far as large group broker picks, which I alluded to, what that means is when a group sales, in addition to the programs that the various large group carriers have to provide subsidies to groups when they move to a new carrier, for example, Anthem has wellness dollars that I've seen anything from like say 5,000 to 20,000, or HealthNet has premium holidays, et cetera, that they will give the group. B&P has a program as well. It is a subsidy that is ongoing. That's why it's different from our small group subsidy. And depending on the carrier you place with us, depends on what that subsidy amount is. So you see on the screen here that with Anthem, it's $4 per employee per month for the life of the case. With HealthNet, it's $250, and with Kaiser, it's $250 as well. And what you can use that money for is it can't necessarily benefit the broker directly or the group directly. It has to benefit something at the employee level. So wellness fairs, you can do subsidized COBRA, HSA, online enrollment, something that benefits the actual employee. And when the group is sold with us, we'll calculate how many medical enrollees you place with B&P, multiply it by the dollar amount you see on the screen here, either that $4 or $250, depending on the carrier, multiply that by 12, and send you the broker check or the vendor check, depends on who's paying that bill for whatever that service. And again, I just want to make sure that that's on top of what the carriers are providing is our subsidy. It's not one or the other. So moving into our partners, we have Anthem, HealthNet, and Kaiser for large group. With Anthem, I know this is a lot on the screen here, but I just want to point out that this is a quick summary. And again, we're going to send this out to you guys so you have it as a reference. But you'll see that with Anthem, all the different plan designs at the PPO level, the high deductible health plans, and then the HMO levels. And then to the right, which networks they use. So for example, all of the Anthem PPO plans, for the most part, you can get them on the full prudent buyer network, the select PPO, or the out-of-state blue card network as well. However, down towards the bottom here, there's a couple of variances and some are new. So Anthem does have a brand new relationship called Blue Connection EPO. And so it's a different network than the prudent buyer and the select. And you may recognize most of the carriers that are in the Blue Connection EPO program. We're going to talk more about this in a little bit, but they're very similar to the Canopy partners that you may have seen for other arrangements. And then there's also a Link EPO with Anthem. Moving on to the high deductible plans, it mirrors the PPO. Here's all your plan designs against either the prudent buyer full, the select PPO, or the out-of-state blue card network. But again, that EPO Link HSA uses high performance network. So it's different than the other ones that you're probably used to that's newer. For HMO, they have the 3 networks, the traditional HMO, which is full, select, and then the priority select. This I know looks like a lot, but this is a quick summary that you can have on hand to reference what are the differences between all the Anthem large group plan design offerings. The first 2 are Premier, and the big difference on the Premier plans is how claims are paid when a member goes out of network. Premier plans pay claims based on UCR versus the classic PPO, which is fee schedule, which is more kind of the norm of what's selling for the most part nowadays. It's a classic PPO, so that uses a fee schedule plan. Other than that, it's just a traditional PPO. The solution PPO has been available for quite a while now, and what that is, it does have a higher deductible, but it has first dollar coverage for kind of your basic services, office visits, preventative care, pharmacy. So you're not going to have to hit that higher deductible for the first level care. The Elements Choice PPO is specifically rolled out because of ACA. And this is where, for those employers that are required for the ACA to offer benefits to their employees, they can offer the Elements Choice PPO. And what that does is meets the requirement of a 60% minimum value coverage, a MEC plan. And so you can, as the employer, say, hey, we offered coverage and you've done your part. That way you're avoiding penalties for not offering benefits at all. Then there's the exclusive PPO. This I like a lot because this is for out-of-state members, and it makes out-of-state employees feel like they're on an HMO plan because the benefits are so rich. It looks and feels kind of almost like an HMO versus a PPO. They have a traditional EPO. We'll talk more about this brand new Blue Connection EPO that has a partnership with Bay Area providers that you'll recognize, and then the Link EPO. So here's more information on the Blue Connection EPO, brand new with Anthem. And the providers I've been alluding to are Dignity, Hills Physicians, John Muir, Marin Health, and Skippa. So this is not an arrangement with Canopy. It just kind of looks and feels very similar to Canopy if you've been selling that with other carriers. The reason why you'd want to look at the Blue Connection EPO is if you have members in the group that already use these providers, you can offer the EPO alongside a PPO plan with, say, the Prudent Buyer PPO that will take care of members that don't use these providers on the screen here. And you can save the people that want to use the Blue Connection EPO providers up to 24% off of the full network PPO plan. So you can offer both. Those members that don't use the providers, Dignity Health, John Muir, et cetera, can still have the Prudent Buyer, and those that use these providers might as well save up to 24% on the premiums and see the same doctors that they were seeing beforehand. The members do need to select the PCP, but it's not required for care on the Anthem EPO plan. And then behind the scenes, there's a lot of additional services. Not only do you get to stay with the providers you probably wanted to see anyway, but now there's a level of concierge service for the member and enhanced tools. So for example, they can make appointments online with the provider, et cetera. And as I already alluded to, you can sell the EPO, alongside the Anthem PPO plans. Again, a lot of information on this screen. We'll give you this deck, but this is just a quick summary. Anthem Large Group has the standard HSA plans, also offering that Elements Choice HSA plan that meets that ACA requirement of the minimum 60% minimal essential coverage. They have HRA type plans called health incentive accounts, where there's Anthem funds. We used to call this like monopoly money that Anthem is putting towards that. There's first dollar coverage on the plan, and if the member doesn't use those dollars, they can roll them over from year over year as long as they're with Anthem. And then here's a quick summary of the Anthem Large Group HMO plan designs, which kind of mirror, at the beginning here, Premier, just like the PPO plans where they're richer. This is the old traditional HMO plans that have 100% hospitalization that we used to sell a ton of. And now we sell more of the classic HMO, which is a per admission hospital copay. There's a value HMO, which has per day copays versus a per admit on the classic. Value is per day. Coinsurance, so starting to look and feel more like a PPO plan because you have coinsurance on the HMO plan. And then here's the value deductible plan, which has, of course, a deductible when you have the inpatient outpatient facility services. And then just like the the PPO and the HSA I alluded to, Anthem has the Elements Choice HMO, meeting that ACA requirement for the groups who just want to say they offer some coverage. This would meet that requirement. All right, you probably know that all the carriers love to sell their ancillary alongside the medical. It does make sense. There's a lot of benefits. Your teeth and your eyes are connected to your body, and those providers can see a lot about your health, your medical health, when they're looking at your teeth and your eyes. And so it makes sense to have one carrier providing all those services. There's going to be better outcomes for the member, lower costs overall for the system, for the member, the providers, insurance company. And so as a result, with Anthem specifically, you can get up to 4% off the medical premiums when you bundle all lines of coverage: medical, dental, vision, life, disability, et cetera. And you can see the different combinations over here to the far right at the bottom that shows what you get based on the different lines of services that they're buying. Plus, of course, if you put all the lines of coverage with one carrier, it's easier administration for the group itself and yourself. All right, before we move off the benefits of Anthem, just a quick reminder of everything that comes with those medical premiums. So even if you don't buy the dental and vision through Anthem, medical members still get discounts on vision, dental, et cetera. A lot of fitness and health. All the carriers are trying to encourage all of us to be a little more healthy. So they're providing discounts and different services. And then I've already alluded to, I like Anthem a lot as far as large group when you go out of state, if you have people that are living outside of California. So think of a divorce situation where the kids maybe are living with one parent outside of California, but the employee lives in California. The California employee can enroll on an HMO plan, and their dependent that lives outside of California most likely can still intake an HMO plan. Usually in that scenario, the California employee has to take a PPO to get coverage for the out-of-state dependent, not so with Anthem. And then as I alluded to, Anthem has been giving a lot of wellness dollars for new groups. It subsidizes anything that benefits the employees, as I said, online enrollment, fitness trackers, et cetera. And our B&P Large Group BrokerPicks program is on top of the Anthem benefits. All right, so some quick underwriting rules with Anthem specifically. Large Group allows up to 4 plans side by side. So you can have basically a high and low HMO, high and low PPO, full and narrow network of each. Participation, we're going to spend a little more time on the next slide. So I'm going to skip down to the group rules. Union carve-outs, essentially what happens there is if the whole group is over 101, Anthem Large Group would consider the non-union piece of that group in the large group portfolio. The third bullet point, as I said, is a huge topic where we're getting more groups with more employees outside of California than not, but Anthem Large Group, not small group, but Anthem Large Group will consider groups with any percentage outside of California. As long as the group is truly headquartered in California, Large Group would still take a group. Maybe they have 40% of their employees in California and 60% out, but they're headquartered in California. Anthem Large Group would take that case. We write a lot of groups, believe it or not, even with COVID, some groups have been growing. And so if you move a group from Anthem small group to large group, there is an attestation form. They just have to sign that attests now we are over 101 full-time equivalents. And then since this is large group, if we provide a quote to you and then when we get the actual enrollment, there's a lot of changes, Anthem Large Group does have the right to re-quote that based on the changes. So from what we quoted to actual implementation. And then large group is on a different time frame than small group. So Anthem small group, for example, B&P gets groups approved in a day, and Anthem large group can be 2 to 3 week implementation. The key thing is to get the Anthem Large Group employer form and the implementation questionnaire over to us as soon as possible so that we can work with Anthem to get the plans built out while all the apps are being completed. And then when the apps come in, we can load it directly into the Anthem system in a day to help expedite this. All right, so I said I'd spend a little more time on participation. There's 2 slides. This first slide is you're selling Anthem only. You're not putting alongside Kaiser, for example. There's technically 2 rules. So first you have to take the group and say, okay, we need 50% of all eligible. So you don't subtract any waivers out, and you need 50% of the whole group. Then you need to subtract valid waivers out, and they need to still be getting 75% after waiver. So let's put that into a real example. If the group is hypothetically 150 eligible employees and have 25 waivers, the first bucket again is don't take anyone out, take 50% of the 150 eligible, so that's 75 employees is what they would need. The second benchmark is 75% after waivers. So 150 employees minus the 25 leaves 125 eligible left, times 75% is 94. They need the greater of. So Anthem alongside no one, they need both rules met, and in this scenario, the group would need to be 94 employees. All right, so this is assuming you're selling alongside another carrier. So for example, Kaiser. So you do have to tell us ahead of time that you'll be selling Kaiser. That is part of the underwriting when we actually quote the group. And then there is essentially one rule, and they will drop the 75% at that point to 50%. So I like to say, just think of don't subtract anyone else, don't subtract waivers out, don't subtract Kaiser members out, and we just need 50% of the whole group. This is a little tighter than some of the other carriers, and we keep working with Anthem. Hopefully this maybe will get a little more lenient. But currently, a real life example, again, 150 employees, you've got valid waivers, you've got Kaiser members, but you do not subtract either of those. We need 50% of the 150, which is 75. So that's really the bigger number. So we need 75 members to go with Anthem, and say 75 members can go with Kaiser or any combination after that. All right, last slide on Anthem Large Group. We can quote up to 4 months in advance. You know, as we get closer to January, RFPs are coming in earlier and earlier, so there's some little flexibility. Typically, you can get up to 5 months in advance. Be aware if you've got a prospect or a client and they're going to multiple brokers for a quote, it does slow down the process, because Anthem will get both of them, and they're going to compare both of them and making sure that they're releasing one set of rates to the group, even though the group went to 2 different brokers. You're both going to get the same rates. They're going to need to decide which broker is best, not based on the Anthem rates provided, because they're going to get the same thing. Anthem will guarantee the first bucket of trend at the first renewal, and they're starting to open up where you can negotiate, hey, I want to, at the time I sell the group, negotiate what our first year renewal will be. This is just brand new. They're starting to put that in place. As far as quoting, it really helps if you come to B&P first. We get a lot of groups that go direct, and then they're scrambling and need a little more support and implementation, et cetera. We can work on a one-off situation, but really you need to submit the quote to B&P for just to be the smoothest as possible. And at that point, remember, you're not blocking yourself from dealing with your Anthem large group rep. You can still call them directly. You can call us. We can help negotiate. It's just an additional level of support. It's not blocking your connection to the carrier. And it does take, instead of like a 10-minute quote turnaround time for small group, it is large group, so it takes 5 to 7 business days for a quote. And that can extend out, based on the busier season. Large group, you can negotiate commission. So we tend to see a flat 5% standard commission. If you want more or less, you can do that in large group. And then again, as I alluded to earlier, it's a true GA override. So the rates are the rates, your commission's the same. We don't take any part of your commission out, and your client's not paying more because we're involved. This is a little bit of tangent, so I don't want to confuse anyone. I am now switching the gears to one slide dedicated to small group only on this presentation, and it's because Anthem Balance Funding is a small group product that kind of functions like large group. If you sell signal level funded, this is something to compare that to. And we're just throwing it out here because it's newer, making sure people know that if you do actually have a small group client that really wants to composite rates, for example, Anthem has a product, but it is a small group product. So this would only be available up to 100 full-time equivalents. Again, it competes with signal level funded. It's for 25 to 100 full-time equivalents. You would get composite rates. Unlike Cigna, if they're still doing it, there are no health questionnaires. It is medically underwritten, but they base the medical underwriting off the census, and then they run it through a system, pulling the RX information and then determining what the risk of the group is at that point. If the group runs well, the group can earn up to 50% of the surplus claims back, and then Anthem would keep the other 50%, but it's level funded. So if the group runs very poorly, there's no risk of having a huge reserve you have to pay out, for example, when you leave. It is PPO plans only, and level funding products work really well for healthier groups. So we say it's a good fit for healthier, younger groups. You can quote ACA and Anthem Balance Funding at the same time. Some groups are more attractive for one versus another, so you can compare. But again, this is a way for a small group to get composite rates, and that's kind of why we threw it into this presentation. But I hope I didn't confuse anyone talking about a small group product on a large group webinar. Now we're going to move on to Health Net. So just like we did with Anthem, this is a quick summary of all their plan offerings. Full network HMO, like everyone has. Health Net's niche is they have a lot of narrow network HMOs. Smart Care is a very successful one in Southern California, similar with Salud y Más. This is where you can actually see providers in Mexico or in the US. Canopy Care is going to be a big topic on this conversation here with Health Net, so I'll come back to this one. The Elect Open Access they've had forever, traditional PPO, and they too have HSA plans. All right, so we're talking about Health Net, and they did partner with Canopy Care. They've actually had a relationship with Canopy for a while. Quick reminder for Health Net, these are the areas that Canopy is in. You can see there's a couple of counties that are partial. Why you would sell Health Net Canopy Care HMO is there's 15 different plan designs. Similar to what I mentioned with Anthem Large Group, you can have a 2-year rate cap. So you have a maximum level of what that first renewal is going to be. The whole benefit of Canopy Care is very high-performing providers, providing very concierge member tools and employer tools. They're doing a great job with member tools, and they're rolling out, for example, telehealth with their own doctor. So it's just a different level of care when you're going through Health Net Canopy Care HMO, because it's very high-end providers, John Muir, UCSF, et cetera, with a lot of concierge, high-touch services, and then a lot of great member tools that are better and actually integrating with so you're not just having the provider member tools and the insurance company member tools, they're integrating them combined together to provide a better experience for the member as a whole. Like Anthem, Health Net Large Group does give you discounts on the medical premium depending on the different lines of coverage you sell. So Health Net has dental, life, vision coverage, and you can see over here in the far right how that's broken out depending on which line of coverage you buy. But you can get 3% off the medical premium when you buy Health Net Large Group if you bundle different lines of coverage. They, in addition to the Canopy Care telehealth, they actually have telehealth outside of that for the other plans they offer. They've got the Active and Fit Direct discounts for facilities, for fitness, wellness reward programs, etc. All right, so Health Net Underwriting. Health Net has two different portfolios. Enhanced Choice, which is, think of like Cal Choice as defined contribution, multiple plans. You can have 6 networks at the same time. This is available, but the product we sell mostly with Health Net Large Group is a starting lineup portfolio. For larger groups, that's the best selling, and they don't always need the defined contribution option. Very flexible underwriting alongside Saluda HMO AMOS plans if that's what you're going to sell only. And then the participation here you can see with Health Net, if it's a standalone case, little simpler, it's 75% or 76%, whichever is greater. And then alongside Kaiser, it's very flexible. They go down to 33% or 38%, whichever is greater. So now we're going to move on to Kaiser. Quick summary again for the Kaiser plan offering. So you guys know that they've got their traditional HMO with the copays. Then they throw in deductibles on their HMO plans. They've got the high deductible health plan options. They are now, for April 1, rolling out a brand new plan offering called Virtual Complete. And this is a very nice approach, especially as everyone's kind of been weaned into telehealth services. What Virtual Complete plans with Kaiser Large Group, not small group, is that you can use technology and pay no copay. So whether you're doing a video visit, telehealth visit, etc., you'll pay no copays. Preventative care is covered at 100%, goes to your doctor, of course. Then if you actually want to physically go see your doctor, not versus doing the virtual visits, you have 3 office visits at a copay for that. Once you go through those 3, then there is a deductible that would apply to future in-person office visits. But all your Virtual Complete, if you want to stay that route, is always free. So it's great, go get your preventative. Unfortunately, you might find something wrong. Go see a provider in person to discuss it and figure it out. You'll pay that's one of your 3 visits at a copay. And then for follow-up care, if you go back to virtual, it's free again. Or if you want to go back in person, again, you've got 3 total at a copay, and then the deductible would hit. So again, this is a brand new offering hitting Kaiser Large Group for April 1st. They do have PPO plans and point of service plans, out of area plans as well. They are the one carrier I know of that does group Medicare, and then they have multi-state to kind of offer a consistent package against all regions. So some Kaiser underwriting rules. If you're doing Kaiser only, not alongside another carrier, you can offer the point of service and or PPO offering alongside 3 Kaiser HMO plans. If you're selling alongside another carrier, the point of service PPO option drops off and you can still sell 3 HMO plans alongside the other carrier's PPO. They have additional products you can buy, Chiro, Chiroactive, Dental, Vision. This is the one I want to focus on a little bit. So we have been quoting less Kaiser Large Group than we do with Anthem and Health Net, for example. And the reason is a lot of small groups offer Kaiser. Then they grow and they want to move to Kaiser Large Group. You can move from small group Kaiser to Kaiser Large Group. However, that is handled internally with your account manager. It's not technically a new business sale for the Kaiser Large Group rep or B&P. What would be a Kaiser Large Group sell if you offered Kaiser in small group and then grew is if you're offering Kaiser through either Cal Choice or Covered California. When a Cal Choice or Covered California group moves to Kaiser Large Group, B&P and your Kaiser Large Group sales rep can help you with those. That's viewed as a new piece of business for Kaiser Large Group. And then you probably all know that Kaiser does a great job with offering value adds, similar to everyone else. They've got some lifestyle programs. They rolled out the Class Pass, which is fitness on-demand workouts, My Strength, which is more health-related, and then that great Calm meditation app that's gotten so popular in our times of COVID. All right, so with Kaiser, some reasons that a group will get declined if you submit it through us for a large group quote is maybe it's typically just not a good fit, right? If they have a lot of out-of-state or out-of-Kaiser areas, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So they might just completely decline to quote it because they're not getting the participation because they can't help a large portion of the group. Obviously, if it's not complete information, Kaiser says, hey, if the group's going to more than 3 brokers, we're going to decline quoting it because that's they're probably not taking it too seriously. And then these items here, I don't want to confuse you. PEO breakaways, union trust breakaways, and Kaiser small to large, as I talked about, those can move to Kaiser, but it's all handled internally. It's just wouldn't be looked at as a new prospect, new RFP for Kaiser. Certainly, if you owe Kaiser money from being with them in the past that you stiffed them with, they don't really want you back too fast, so they're not going to give you a quote to move back to them, and probably until you pay that unpaid balance. And then, of course, if they quote, probably rare that Kaiser would be 20% not competitive because they are so competitive typically, but that's another reason why they would decline. And then just to walk you through which groups should probably consider Kaiser only versus alongside another carrier for a large group. You know, if the group's just over 101 to 150 employees, maybe you'd have trouble getting the participation with those carriers, so offering just one carrier would make more sense, versus then when you get to a group of 150 plus, offering 2 carriers might make sense at that point. If it's truly 100% HMO group, Kaiser would be a great fit. You don't need any PPO at all. That would be a great fit, obviously, for Kaiser only. If the group's, all the employees are, near Kaiser facilities, so kind of some, basics, common sense things, but just a quick reminder. When you might want to sell Kaiser alongside another carrier is if there's a need for, they're not living near Kaiser, there's some out-of-state people, or people just like the PPO option, et cetera. So just kind of some quick reminders there. All right, so comparing some of our options. When you send over a large group quote request, it's very different than small group, right? Small group, we can kind of make some assumptions, give you the rates, and it's underwritten at the time of sale versus upfront. Or a large group, you send over the RFP to us, it needs to be more in depth. So this is a quick reminder of all the items we need to really provide a fast, good quality quote for large group for all of our carriers. Obviously, employer information. We want to know if you're the broker record or if this is a prospect for you, what your commission request is, because it can vary in large group. They want to know the 5-year carrier history. They don't really like groups that are moving carriers every year. That's not good, stable business. Detailed census contribution, the current renewal rates. And remember, renewals are being submitted earlier now by law. I think they have to be provided 4 months in advance. So when you're going to market, your renewal rate will probably be available. So you just go ahead and provide that up front so we can get a good quality quote up front. The benefit summaries for the current group. Who is waiving? We need full census, tell us who's waiving, declining, claim experience if you have it, large claim experience, et cetera. So all of our carriers want this information to give you a good quality quote up front so there's no surprises at the end. A couple differences, as I've mentioned, with Anthem specifically, if you're moving from Anthem small group to large group, they do have an attestation form that they need in addition to everything on the left side of this. With HealthNet, they do want the benefit summaries and rates if alongside Kaiser. They want to know what they're competing against. And then Kaiser has a few extra things they actually want for a quote request. So they actually need the tax ID number. If you're a current Kaiser member, they need to know, or prior Kaiser member, right? Because they're going to look and make sure you don't owe them money, et cetera. Common ownership form, contribution towards the HSA plan, et cetera. The large group is always underwritten up front, so they need that information sooner. This is a quick summary of the participation. So whether you're standalone with the carrier, so again, Anthem has that 2-test rule, 50% of all eligibles is the first test. Second one is subtract the waivers, and then they need 75%, and then with the greater number. HealthNet standalone, it's just 75% all eligibles or 76 employees, whichever is greater. And Kaiser is 75% of eligibles as well, kind of normal rules there, 75% essentially. Alongside Kaiser, however, another carrier, here's the rules. With Anthem, They want 50% of total eligible. Health Net drops their participation down to 33% or 38, whichever is greater. And Kaiser's super flexible. They just want 5% of the eligible or 5 employees, whichever is greater. This is a quick summary. Both Anthem, their Blue Connection EPO, and Health Net Canopy Care use similar providers, so we thought we'd just summarize that for you. Here they are on the screen. One little note is with Anthem Blue Connection EPO, they technically don't have Meritage, quote unquote, as a medical group because it's an EPO plan design. However, as long as the doctor has admitting privileges with one of these North Bay hospitals, then they are an Anthem Blue Connection doctor that they can use. So just thought we'd throw that on there for a quick summary. And so our final thoughts, just a reminder as we start at the beginning, why you'd submit your large group quotes to B&P. We just make it go faster, smoother, take work off your plate so we can help clean up those RFPs. While you're working on other things, you send it over to us. We will take it, send it to 3 different carriers, follow up with those carriers, do the quality assurance, making sure that what you get back is actually what you needed. And then, so when you get it back from us, you can take it and run. There's not a lot of back and forth. We can help with benefit information, underwriting information, etc. When the group is sold, we have a great reputation for faster implementation, just like in small group. So again, it's for just providing better assistance. It's not anything that Anthem or Kaiser or Health Net can't do, but we're taking some work off their plate as well. And so, for example, when you start at 101 full-time equivalents, 101 small, and maybe Google decides to change carriers that year, and I'm sure Google's going to get a lot more attention than 101 life group at a carrier. So B&P can take care of that smaller, mid-market segments and let them focus on their internal teams on the larger information that they're trying to process faster. Enrollment support, as I said, we've got the hard copy, soft copy enrollment materials. We can do unlimited meetings. As I said, we just did 9 meetings for a mid-market case, including interpreters, etc. There's true GA override, doesn't affect our being involved does not affect the group's premium or your commissions or bonuses. And then in addition to what the carrier provides as far as wellness dollars, et cetera, B&P has an additional subsidy on top. Again, depends on the carrier, $4 for Anthem, $2.50 for Health Net or Kaiser. That's for the life of the case. And so on that, just a reminder, it can be used for anything that benefits the employees of the group, not just the broker, unfortunately. But it might help you because you might be picking up some of the costs of these services, and then here we're helping subsidize for that. So having said all that, I know that was a lot of information I'll rattle through. I will see if there's any questions. Thank you very much for attending today and your time. There is one question here. So can the Anthem EPO be offered alongside the PPO and HMO? And yes, it can. What can't be is the Blue Connection EPO. So be aware of that. And we'll follow up giving that to you in writing so you have it all in hand. So as I said, we will be sending out this deck and we'll have this recording, but don't be shy, you know where to find us. We can answer any questions you might have. Give us a call if you have any questions. And again, we're going to have other webinars coming up. So on March 25th, we're going to be partnering with Cigna plus Oscar and Humana to do a webinar. On April 15th, we're going to be tackling the issue of when you have more people outside of California than not. And if you have ideas for other webinars, just let us know. We're always open. We appreciate your time and your partnership today, as always. And we hope that your clients and your business, and especially you and your family, are doing well in these crazy times. But I do feel like the light is at the end of the tunnel. Hang in there, and we'll have better times ahead of us, I'm sure. But thanks again for your time today, and hope all is well. Take care.